fix it. Fix it. Are you at Public Works on Thursday?
Yeah.
You're running the show then.
I am?
Yep.
Okay.
I got my oldest birthday, so.
Okay.
They can come to the Public Works. Public Works.
Why make everybody? We'll just have the party
Public
there.
Works themed birthday party.
And usually he has fun until he doesn't. And then
Yeah.
The donuts.
I don't know.
Emergency.
I'm sure my 15-year-old would love it.
Yeah, I invited my kids tonight. They're 14 and they
Emergency vehicle pre-med.
You don't want to come to a council meeting and then stay for the committee of the
I was like,
whole
we got a double
afterwards,
header
kids?
tonight.
We're going to be here for
I was like,
hours.
we're going to talk about budgets.
You'll find it fascinating. I'm sure you will.
We better not be here for hours.
I'll just help myself.
go navigate through the maze.
Yeah. I have no promises here.
I know.
Yeah, I think that's half the stuff on the agenda for Thursday is mine.
And buy a bunch of trucks. Oh, okay, all right. Sure. Nothing controversial. Nothing controversial.
I mean, we're going to have the contract for the utility consultant there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's controversial. Right. Staff's been
A
bucking.
lot of needs, so that's nice.
I got that.
You sitting down there today?
No,
Heated conversation too.
I'm doing.
Well,
I need tennis courts, different sizes, or if it's just.
oh, it's soccer fields.
I meant the soccer.
Yes, different sizes.
See, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like
For different age groups. Yeah.
That's what I thought, but I'm not sure.
Yep.
I don't know if you ran out of room.
So tennis courts are getting smaller.
Yeah, so the Superior Soccer Association drew it up for me.
Oh, okay.
Giving a finance report rather than at the moment like,
That would be me 2 years in advance.
we go back and it'll be ready.
Yeah,
Hey, I was there. They caught me out.
I think they caught me out too, but that's okay. Or I was behind Dan Linder, he's huge, so.
Maybe it'll be virtual.
I was in that photo, but I got cropped off.
Any pictures?
Go.
No, not any pictures.
Well, I'm not talking funny, I'm not talking inappropriate here. Perfect. That's great. So what did you do on August 7th? Did you guys do anything?
We had a big party.
Where? Oh, down with the, not here.
Down with my relatives.
How was it? Congratulations, by
It
the
was
way.
wonderful. I don't know, about 110 people,
Nice.
all relatives, plus a
That
couple
sounds
of
great.
friends, but otherwise all
Oh,
relatives.
Ruth, you're
Yeah.
so cool. That's amazing.
Oh,
So, yeah.
good for you.
Yeah, I think they told me it was good last time.
Yep,
It's everything you dreamt of with you.
it was, yes, it was. You know, I haven't heard from my maid of honor, she was my best friend from high school, and I called her up Thursday night, and I said, Jay, are you coming or not? And she ended up actually coming on Friday to help us with the prep too, so she and I had some.
Extra time.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
So, yeah. And I had to make the arrangements to ask anybody to cut the cake, so I was cutting the cake. Well, John and I didn't even cut the cake ourselves, you know. But who cares, you know what I mean?
Cares.
And I like, my sister, I told her not to, she makes a cake, she made our original cake, and she had this bridge over the top, you know, and stairs going down, and we went right down here, and drive through up there, and I said,
I'd put my cat to
don't
sleep
go
today.
elaborate on it.
So, not great.
Of course she did.
She did.
She doesn't know how to do simple.
She didn't do the stairs, but she did the fountain, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, he was 50.
You're not.
50 years only
So,
couples.
like, and he had some health issues, so he lived up pretty good.
That's a long.
Thanks for remembering it, Nebraska.
Well, yeah, that's my parents had their 50th the week before
How did that
yours, so that's why I think it went great. I had to MC the whole thing of it, but it went great.
Thank you. So you MC.
I MC'd. It was a great time.
We did. Yep. No, actually down by where I was raised. Because most of my, Cadet, Wisconsin. Edson, Wisconsin. Township of Edson.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, nice.
So most of my family still lives in that area.
Was it surprise or?
No, I planned it.
Okay, good.
John's family show up?
They did. I was so surprised. I was so
Back on vacation?
surprised. Yes, a lot of them.
And they all got along just fine?
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, I was looking at a co-op thing that even lumberjack exchange. Put me onto their YouTube. I am going on a small vacation.
Time heals.
Well, great.
Oh, thanks. I was like, how did you know that? And I don't know how you know that. So, no.
Did you guys just go down there for the weekend, or?
Yeah, we went down Thursday night and then I spent, Jen and I spent, and my sister Ian and I got some days cooking.
So, I'm going to get it.
She made, Jen made cheesy potatoes. Jared actually did the. He's really good at it. He has a smoker,
Good.
smokes some beef and some pork, so we have pulled.
Keep her moving.
Oh, I'm sure he'd
I
loved
think
doing it.
He offered,
Either way.
he said, Mom,
Yep. I'll get away from everybody for numerous hours and just stand in front of a smoker. Make sure the temperature stays right. I would gladly do that.
Stand in front of a smoker like a chain smoker.
Chain smokers.
Hello, Miss Becken. Can you hear us?
The group.
I can, yep. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you.
Ruby, you bet, Don.
Like well, I was probably one of them back in my cigarette smoking days. Chain smoker. Secondhand smoke.
Parents using screens. So, secondhand screen use.
Really?
That was
Like what my kids watching what I watch on the screen?
you're on your feet.
Oh.
So then that would be like in a list of something that was doing like that. And they can impact screen like you're using it and then you're teaching it. Again, you're ignoring that.
you know, it's amazing, when my grandchildren, Jade,
Right?
Yeah, no.
She said there were like 20 kids, and she showed them around the garden, and
I am so bummed that I missed it. Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 6:31 p.m. Before I call the meeting to order, I just point out our clerk has asked that we just keep the fans on. It's already starting to get a little stuffy in this room. If it becomes bothersome to the point that you can't hear the meeting, let me know. We will turn the fans off. The meeting business is more important than our comfort. But it should be fine. If it gets too loud, just let us know. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. In that announcement, I missed. The meeting was called to order at 6:31 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Ledeen.
Here.
Counselor Anderson. Here. Vice President Moffett.
Here.
Counselor Sweeney is excused. Counselor Fennessy. Here. Counselor Elm.
Here.
Counselor Ludwig.
Here.
Vice President Herrick. Here. Counselor Johnson.
Here.
And President Grasky.
We have a quorum.
Item 4.1 is the approval of the July 15th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
The motion is by Counselor Johnson, second by Counselor Fennessy. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please. Counselor Herrick?
Yeah, 1 second, please. I think there was just something that should be updated on the minutes. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the next item. Never mind. Sorry.
Counselor Anderson, did you have a correction for us? Okay. Were there any other corrections or discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
Item 6.1 is report from Mayor Payne.
Hey, councilors, as you know, we could have a long night tonight with our committee of the whole after this, so I don't have much for you. Our budget will be fully underway after tonight. Too early for me to give you a report of what it's looking like, but you can start pressing me on that at a future meeting. You'll see the only item of business I have tonight will be confirming Jordan Stish as our museum manager. That will require your approval because it's a supervisory position. The city assumes operations of the museums tomorrow, and so that would be reasonably urgent tonight, except I'm going to ask that we take that out of order because technically her position does not exist yet within the city. That is the business, that is under the business of the Human Resource Committee. So I would ask for unanimous consent to consider that item after item 7.1. Is there objection? Hearing none, we have unanimous consent to take item 6.2 out of order following item 7.1. I have nothing further to report, and we can move on to the standing committee reports.
Item 7.1 is the business of the Human Resources Committee with a meeting held on July 21st. Is there a report from the chair?
Hello. I am going to be doing the report for the Human Resource Committee in replacement of Councillor Sweeney. The latest HRC meeting, we took to discussion on establishing a method determining non-union wage increases for 2026. The committee decided to hold on to that discussion for August. Of course, you'll see in front of you, you will see 5 recommendations for the historic properties positions, which were to, I guess starting tomorrow, we will, as a city, be managing that process. So I will ask the clerk to read the recommendations one by one and vote on these items one by one, please.
I will mention that we realized there was a mistake. Item 7.1.5 is a duplicate of 7.1.1. There are 4 recommendations for approval. So that first item is to approve job description and pay grade for historic properties tour guide.
Motion is by Councillor Herrick, second by Councillor Ludwig. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Second item is to approve job description and pay grade for historic properties administrative assistant.
Motion is by Councillor Herrick, second by Counselor Ledeen. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries. 1 second. Counselor Herrick, your nameplate says Johnson, and it's messing me up.
I usually check that every meeting. This is the first one I haven't.
I'm pleased to know it's not my fault.
No, this was only a test, Mayor. This is.
Will the clerk, thank you, everybody. Will the clerk please, everybody else looks correct. Will the clerk please proceed?
Item 3 is to approve job description and pay grade for Historic Properties Maintenance Coordinator.
Motion is by Counselor Herrick, second by Counselor Ludwig. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
And the 4th item is to approve job description and pay grade for Historic Properties Museum Manager.
Motion is by Counselor Herrick, second by Counselor Ledeen. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Will the clerk please read 6.2?
Item 6.2, Mayor Payne recommends confirmation of Jordan Stish as museum manager and temporary wage recommendation during absence of museum director position.
That was a motion by Counselor Fennessy, with a second by Counselor Ludwig. Counselors Elm and Fennessy. Counselors Ludwig and Fennessy made the motion. Fans are about to go off. The motion was by Counselor Ludwig, the second by Counselor Fennessy to confirm Jordan Stish as the museum manager. Is there discussion? I'll just use this moment. Of course, I recommend Jordan Stish very highly. The reason you don't see the other employees named is we only need to confirm supervisory employees. So the administration, having created these positions, these non-supervisory positions that you just created and approved, we have the authority to hire them directly. So we will complete that process. That which is not yet completed will be completed by tomorrow. Any further discussion on the confirmation of Jordan Stish? Counselor Herrick.
Yeah, will Jordan have any say in that discussion then, as far as other hires, or since she's in that position, or not? I'm just wondering.
Yes, of course she would be a pretty important voice in hiring.
Okay.
The big distinction here is, as I've said in all of our discussions here, the intent was always to hire everybody that's in those positions now. So everybody that's actually in a position and working for the museums will stay working in that position, except under our new job descriptions and pay grade. Anything that is vacant or becomes vacant, the museum manager right now will be the principal in hiring with the assistance of our Human Resource Department and the Parks and Rec Director. The next position you're likely to see posted and filled would be a museum director. So that'll take just a couple more weeks.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Congratulations, Jordan.
Item 7.3 is the business of the Finance Committee with a meeting held on July 22nd. Is there a report?
In Councilor Sweeney, the chair's absence, I'll give the report here tonight. The Finance Committee had met on July 22nd to review several key issues affecting the city's finances and services. The committee continued evaluating the fire protection contract with the Village of Superior, balancing fair cost sharing with the importance of maintaining a positive relationship. The current contract runs through 2026, but adjustments may be considered here in September. The committee also reviewed a grant application for student mental health services in the schools. While the program has proven successful, there's concern over continued city funding without financial support from the school district or the county. A special meeting is going to be held a week from today to continue this discussion, while outreach to the school officials had been planned in the meantime. The animal shelter's funding request was also discussed. The shelter is asking for $200,000, which is higher than the historical city contribution of around $120,000 a year. Additional financials and shelter reserve status are still pending at this time. Committee members reviewed city reserves, which just shows a projection of a surplus over $1 million. While this surplus should be used, it will be addressed at the upcoming budget cycle. Mobile home parks were another focus. The downtown park home mobile home park is set to close this fall, and then the Magi Park, while still operational, faces ongoing losses and maintenance issues. The city is going to be debating how to proceed with that in the future. And lastly, the golf course's aging irrigation system remains a high-cost concern. Phase 1 is scheduled and funded, but the larger portion, Phase 2, is still unfunded, and project cost increases were discussed with that as well. So that's my report for the Finance Committee meeting, July 22nd.
There's no business from the Finance Committee, so unless there are questions for the Vice Chair, we will move to license and fees.
Item 7.4 is the business of the License and Fees Committee with a meeting held on July 14th. Is there a report from the chair?
Yeah, really the only thing on this at this meeting, you see it in front of you, is if you all remember, periodically, probably half a dozen times or so, Earthrider has submitted basically an application to sell their product off-site. There was a change in the state where previously they were only able to personally sell their product through on-site, but the state changed it where they can do different events, Bayside Sounds, some different corporate events that they've done. And when we first established this, we would have them fill out an application. It would go to the clerk, then come to the council for approval, and we found that process just to be a little clunky and probably unnecessary. And so the biggest change here is what we're looking at doing is instead of coming to the council every time there's an event for approval, just do like a 1-year license for them, and then give the clerk the ability to sign those off as they come up. It just streamlines the process. If an event comes up, in between council meetings, the clerk would have the ability to approve those. So, but we would still then review it on an annual basis by the council. So, we'd still have that opportunity. And that was really about it.
Unless there are questions for the chair, I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance.
That item is to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 14, Alcohol Beverages, Article 3, Issuance and Renewal, Section 1452, Common Council Action Required to issue or renew license to establish a process for state licensed producers, requests for full-service retail sales at fixed off-site retail outlets, and full-service retail sales at an unlimited transfer of off-site retail outlets.
Motion is by Councilor Fennessy, second by Councilor Grasky. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Item 8.1.1 is the business of the Urban Tree Forestry Tree Board with a meeting held on July 17th. Is there a report from the chair?
Yes, I do have a report. You may recall from my last report that the Tree Board established a heritage tree nomination program to create interest and educate our citizens about the significance of the trees growing in our community. Director Maruska had some suggestions for changes, and so discussion centered around how do we get the community to buy into the program, how do we market it, how do we set criteria to recognize the selection if it is in someone's yard while protecting private property, i.e. that the tree has to be in an area viewable to the public from the street or alley. Director Maruska's suggested changes were incorporated into the application packet and approved by the board. The board also approved changes to the tribute tree program, highlighting revisions to the tree species list, taking off some tree species that struggle to survive and adding some such as the sugar maple and red oak. Also changes to the policy regarding plaque removal from the tree planted on a boulevard if the adjoining property is sold. In addition, the board approved a request for proposal concerning the management of invasive species in the Superior Municipal Forest. The RFP is designed to invite bids from contractors to create a thorough management plan. Fire Chief Ulbrecht gave a report on the fire management plan for Wisconsin Point. Designated areas for controlled burns include the eastern section of the state natural area, Wisconsin Point Road and Eloise Bay. Pre-treatment to manage ladder fuels, which are removed to mitigate the risk of crown fires, are scheduled for August, with the cultural burn anticipated for mid-September, contingent on weather conditions. Director Maruska emphasized the importance of community outreach about the fire management plan and its advantages.
Lastly, the board approved changes to the bow hunting ordinance. Ordinance modifications comply with the regulations set forth by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, while also addressing community concerns regarding safety and property rights. Changes include broadening the scope of hunting regulations to include additional game besides just deer, and to permit hunting on private properties under certain conditions. Eligible properties must be a minimum of 5 acres or consist of continuous parcels totaling that size, with the requirement that hunting activities occur at least 100 yards away from any buildings, roads, or public spaces. Unless you have questions, I will ask the clerk to read the ordinance change. Thank you.
There's a question for the chair. Councilor Herrick.
Yeah, just one question. Now you're opening it up. I know it used to be always deer. Now what other animals are we looking at since it's kind of broad now?
Councilor Ludwig, your microphone, please.
I turned it off. Thank you. Whatever's in the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources regulations, hunting regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Fowl is most likely birds.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
Are there further questions for the chair? If not, I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance.
That's item 8.1.1.1 is to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 86, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions, Article 3, Weapons, Division 2, Archery Hunting, to broaden the scope of hunting regulations to include additional game and permit hunting on private properties under certain conditions.
Motion approved.
Motion is by Councilor Ludwig, second by Councilor Fennessy. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
I inadvertently jumped over item 7.5. That's the Public Safety Committee meeting. The business is their meeting held on July 17th. I didn't ask if they had a report.
Yeah, I have a quick recap of the July 17th public safety meeting. The fire department reported progress on new inspection software, ongoing rescue training, and their involvement in the Texas flood relief. They also introduced Community Connect. It's a tool where residents can share their emergency information like utility shutoffs and special instructions that are unique to their property. This helps the first responders plan ahead in an event of emergency. The police department also gave a strong update. Property crimes and shoplifting were down citywide. They credited this to community engagement, non-enforcement strategies, and better internal systems. They also mentioned recent hires, promotions, and training improvements. The committee also discussed a proposal to raise the tobacco purchase age to 21. However, Councilor Johnson, after reviewing the legal concerns about state preemption, he has withdrawn his support. However, other members may still bring this to council later, but at that meeting, no action was taken during that time. The calendar parking exemption request for 53rd Avenue East was postponed to allow for better notice to neighbors in the area. Finally, a part-time community service officer internship program was approved. It'll give college students experience, expand non-emergency coverage, and help with future police recruitment. So that's it. Some items are going to come back next month for discussion, and that's my report.
Okay, are there questions for the chair of public safety? If not, I believe we are moving back into regular order with 8.1.2, right?
That's right. That's the business of the Redevelopment Authority with a meeting held on July 28th. Is there a report from the chair?
Councilor Herrick, is this me or you?
Well, I'm not the chair, but
Neither am I.
Okay, right, and she's not here this evening. Basically, the big topic that we met about was, and you'll see here on 8.121 and 8.1.2.2, is that this has been found to be blighted property, and because of that, we have the opportunity to be able to use that property for major projects. Right now, we're looking at the main topic here is Kerry Toyota's looked at redeveloping this property, and if I can ask him to come up and just say a few words, if that's okay with you, Mayor.
Is there objection from the council? Mr. Kerry, would you like to introduce your project, please? As he's coming up, councilors, I'll hold him to 3 minutes, like regular public comment. And I'll give you a 30-second warning, Mr. Carey, but while he's preparing and thinking about what he's going to say, this will be a two-part. There are two resolutions. It's not two parts. The first is to procedurally blight the property that is necessary in order to authorize tax increment financing for a project. The second is to approve that financing. This is recommended by the Redevelopment Authority, and we will also have Director Jason Sirk to answer any questions related to the tax increment district, the nature of the development agreement, et cetera. But again, Mr. Carey, in 3 minutes, would you describe the project, please?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing this to the City Council. So our project, basically, most of you probably know my family has had Carey Incorporated, Carey Garage, Carey Toyota. We're in our 92nd year here in Superior. I'm the 4th generation owner, and Superior's been a big part of our family, and we've been a part of this community for a long time. And so the buildings we operate out of right now are older, and in fact our newer building was the first building project after World War II ended, and so in this town. So they're not ideal for today's auto industry, car dealerships, and we plan on staying here and growing, and we think Superior is a great place to be, and we had to find a new location, and the property that ultimately, after long search, we came upon was where the old Manning Motel site was, and so it's a rather large project. We started this project a couple times, and just with a lot of things that happened in the last 5 years with inflation, things like that, the project got kind of out of reach. We had to readjust, start over, and so we're looking at roughly almost a $13 million project right now, and just kind of a hometown family trying to do a large project in their hometown and make something, we'll have the nicest, newest car dealership in the Twin Ports right here in town. So I think that's kind of basically it, and we're just hoping to get some help in doing this. So,
thank you. Okay, councilors, Director Sirk and I can thank you, Mr. Carey. Director Sirk and I can answer questions once we have a motion on the floor. So the first, I'm sorry, could you read the first resolution?
The first is to approve a resolution identifying blighted property and providing approval to the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Superior, Wisconsin to assist in the private acquisition, improvement, and development of blighted property.
Motion is by Councilor Fennessy, second by Councilor Elm. Is there discussion or questions? Councilor Liddy.
John, a couple quick ones, Mayor. So Carey is going to mold into the current TIF district. Is that did I see that correct?
Yes, that is an existing
16
TIF district. Yes.
Now, what do we have? What's the financial strength of TIF 16?
It's healthy, of course, but when you're talking about a new project, it actually doesn't need to be healthy per se, because the project itself is generating its own increment that we use to pay it. So the nature of that development agreement is they must pay a certain amount of property taxes, and they can't get any money from us until they do make those payments. That is the source of our incentive back to them. But this, so that's what we mean when we say pay as you go. They pay us, then we pay a portion of that back to them. That's how we guarantee that we'll have the money for that incentive. Then, but we don't give it all back to them. In this case, I believe it's 70%. We give them 70% of their property tax back. The remaining 30% stay within the TID and are governed by state law on how you can spend that. So we can use it for other projects within the TID, or we can do municipal projects within half a mile of that tax increment district. So, and it's the whole district. So you take the boundaries of that district and shoot out half a mile in any given direction. We can do city projects. That's been a goal that I've been trying to pursue for the last few tax increment projects, to do more of that kind of public infrastructure, public beautification, just make the neighborhoods around them nicer. Obviously, it's nice to expand our tax base. It's nice to help a local business. We want that to benefit the neighborhood as well. So that's the financials.
Any improvements coming to that area as a result of what we're doing around the Bong Bridge with the Blotnick closing, or is that yet to be?
Probably. the road is in pretty rough shape,
Right.
the actual
Very.
Belknap, and the sidewalk I've never been a fan of. I don't think we have anything actually scheduled in the budget for that right now, but this helps with that. So we weren't planning a lot of major street projects during bridge closure. We're finishing up our major street projects before that, but I agree with you. That neighborhood could definitely use some street work, and this could be a source of revenue for that. Doesn't have to be. We can use it for many things, but public infrastructure is a pretty natural choice.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion. The question is actually on the blighting of that area, and but I'll answer any question related to the project. Okay, further question or discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the resolution identifying the blighted property, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
The second is a recommendation to approve a resolution providing for contribution payments by the city in connection with tax increment grants in the maximum amount of $678,500 in connection with the Bridgeview Properties LLC project and approving related documents and transactions.
Motion by Councillor Herrick, and the second is by Councillor Elm. Councillor, this is a point I wanted to address, a question that I raised at the Redevelopment Authority that I've been asked about this project. So obviously, Carey Toyota is leaving downtown. I have to be a little bit careful here because I have to speak for a family business. There's multiple businesses within the family, and please start waving wildly, Mr. Carey, if I get this wrong. But the service shop, if you can imagine the service shop for Carey Toyota on Ogden Avenue in downtown, that will remain. That will still do service work for Carey. It's a good shop. They're going to keep doing that. It'll be kind of off-site service vehicles. The main showroom on Tower Avenue belongs to other members of the family that very soon will be likely retiring. Am I describing that fairly? And that's extremely likely. I don't want to guarantee anything to you today, but that's extremely likely to go on the market and be prime for a different owner, different operator, or redevelopment. So its future as a vehicle showroom is limited. It's ending. So it likely, this project is very likely to be freeing up space for other development in downtown. So that's, I hope I represented that pretty fairly. Okay. Please.
Just to add to what the mayor was saying, so our service department on 10th and Ogden downtown, we will keep that for a service shop, like you mentioned, to handle most of our internal work. But the new location in Billings Park will have sales and service. All our customer-facing stuff will happen there. So we'll have kind of, in a sense, two service locations, one to handle certain things, but both the new location will have both in it, and just the one on Ogden Avenue will only handle some additional service work. One of the reasons with everything getting so expensive, we had to shrink the size of our original plan of the building, so we're going to keep some extra service bays over there too. So we'll have kind of, in a sense, two locations for service. So just wanted to add that.
I usually don't do this. So are there other questions for Mr. Carey since he answered mine? Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, Councilor Johns.
Just real quick, you don't have to come back up, but I just wanted to say thank you for continuing to invest in our community and into Billings Park. Thank you.
Councilor Herrick.
Yeah, I want to echo the same things. Thank you.
Any further discussion? The resolution is for providing the contribution payments via the tax increment grants. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
Moving on to reports without recommendations at this time, are there any further committee or commission reports to be made?
Seeing none, we can move to new business.
New business, item 10.1, I'm recommending approval of miscellaneous license pending department approval.
Motions by Councilor Ledeen, second by Councilor Grasky. Councilor Herrick, did you have a question?
I did, but it's on 9.1. That's the correction I was going to make as far as the closed session goes. Virtual shows me being there virtually. I was there actually there in person.
You mean the minutes?
The minutes, yes, that's
Okay.
correct. That's
Why don't
correct.
we?
Should we take that at the end?
Why don't we address that at the end? Yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the miscellaneous licenses. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries. And you're gonna, why don't you just read all three of these, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we're trying to tighten the agenda just a little bit. So the clerk, when there's similar things like this, I'm going to ask the clerk to read all three items under item 10.2. If anybody wants to divide that, just say so.
Item 10.2, I'm recommending approval of amend the premise licenses for special events, including the Superior Flame for the event DS Pride Block Party on August 30th and 31st. Second, for Pudge's Tavern for the event East End Days on August 16th, and the Main Club for the event Pride Weekend on August 29th through September 1st.
Is there a motion to approve all of the amend the premise licenses? Second. Motion is by Councilor Johnson, second by Councilor Ledeen. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving all three, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
And item 10.3, I'm recommending approval of temporary alcohol beverage licensing for, the first is the Superior Dragon Boat Festival located on Barker's Island on August 22nd and 23rd, requesting a temporary Class B wine and temporary Class B beer license. And second, for Earth Rider Brewery for the event Bayside Sound Concerts on September 3rd, requesting the unlimited transfer of full-service retail outlet for the on-premise consumption of beer.
Is there a motion to approve both temporary alcohol beverage licenses? Motion is by Councilor Herrick, second by Councilor Grasky. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving both licenses, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries. Mr. Herrick, is it still your intent to move to amend the minutes?
Yes, this is for item, the minutes from July 15th in regards to the minutes under 9.1. Virtually, they have me listed. It was actually virtual was Councilor Johnson.
Okay. Councilor Herrick has made a motion to amend the minutes of the July 15th meeting to recognize his in-person presence and Councilor Johnson's virtual presence. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Second is by Councilor Johnson. Is there discussion on that correction? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. Are there any other corrections to these minutes that we know about? And just a reminder, any minutes can be corrected at any time. So if you find minutes from the 90s that need correction, bring them up. It's just got to be true. Okay, we have one person that has signed up to speak in business by public, Chrissy Bernard. I can give you 3 minutes unless the council moves to extend it, but I will start you at 3 minutes and I'll give you a 30-second warning. The rule is a firm rule, though, until the council gives you more. So welcome.
So, hello everyone. Thank you for your past support of NAMI Hope Haven's Peer Run Respite program. And today I just wanted to provide you with some updates on our first 3 weeks of service. I wanted to bring to you first, in full transparency, we have some NIMBY issues with one neighbor, which NIMBY stands for Not in My Backyard. But we met with all the other neighbors and they were fine. And so we are putting a privacy fence up between us and that one neighbor to ensure our guests and that neighbor have the confidentiality that they need. And then because of that neighbor, we did cancel our night out that we were going to host tonight for our neighborhood. And then the other neighbor, though, on the other side has been extremely supportive, is volunteering, is giving back. She is a therapist and a substance abuse counselor, so she's been more than bending over backwards to help us. So our neighbors vary quite extremely from one side to the other. But also some program updates. We've had 52 calls to the warm line, and we're now averaging 4 calls a day. And our average length of time is 9 minutes per call. We've had 2 overnight guests. Last weekend we had an overnight guest, and then this past weekend we did. We've had 14 drop-in guests. 1 guest, we assisted them with getting the veterans' online paperwork form for their DD 214 paperwork, which they had lost, and then helped give them some support in filling out that paperwork so they could get their replacement. We also helped a guest get a new replacement food share card and renew their food share. And we helped another guest fill out disability paperwork and provided the ADRC contact. And then we connected one guest with the Division of Vocational Rehab because they want to return to the workforce. And then as far as all the other guests go, we provided them a cup of coffee, like a listening ear, and then referred them to other supports and referrals and services. So that's what we've done in the last 3 weeks. So I just wanted to give you all the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other business by public? If not, we have no further business. In a moment, I'll adjourn the city council meeting with a reminder, councilors, staff, and press, that we will after, say, 5-10 minutes, convene the committee of the whole meeting in the same place. So please don't go anywhere. Seeing no other business, the council meeting is adjourned. The president will gavel it when she gavels it.
Are you going to sit in the gallery?
Oh, yeah. Wait. Me? No, I'm going to the gallery. We have a long stretch right now.
Until you forget. That's the way it works, though, isn't it?
Even though I know I was here before Garner, I think somehow he Jedi mind tricked me into switching.
There's a number here, too.
I know. I don't know how. You didn't see it either.
I did. No, I did. It's like
nobody else saw it.
Historically, there's been one, and I went to the sites where I suspected it would be, like Sunflat, housing places, and Kelly Park. No, it's in the north. No, not Peter. That's Peter Ray. Yeah. So there's a big housing facility. People live there. It's apartments. And Tower? Nope, it's in the north end. It's on Weeks. It's hidden back there. And they have like millions and stuff. It's got Lindsay? Do you want me to give it an intro or anything? Do you want me to give it an intro or anything at the beginning?
You can. How we got here? Sure. Okay.
Everybody else is like hot. I was outside all day. When I came in here, it was like it was cold. I felt I ran back to my car.
It was pretty cold on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
I was really trying to race and get them all. I was like, gotta be kind of careful because some of the back streets is speed. Kind of rolled and stuff. And I was like, whatever, the cops are all out there or something like that.
Their council did a phone call saying, hey, there's some kind of motorcycle.
Well, then I started getting scared. I was like, one person runs their stop sign. Gone.
That too, yes.
And that happens.
You from the top rope. I'm not kidding, Jim. I was just teasing Garner. I checked my names like every time, except for tonight.
Yeah, every time he comes in, he checks it. He's like, "Did you switch it?" And I never switched it. I've never switched it, but every time it's like,
I don't think I've ever checked.
Every time. And then.
"Where's your number? Is your number there?"
It is.
Because otherwise my head will block it.
Oh. My number is great.
Oh, they put a, for me, they put an M up there in my place, which is good because it can also mean mark entry because they will pick those up.
We had some trees taken down at our house yesterday. It's kind of fun to watch guys that know what they're doing with chainsaws.
That's super fun to do.
And there was some right behind our garage, and they were too precarious to actually saw off. So they came in with a big claw that would saw on it, so grab it, big bucket arm, raise it up. It was really fun to watch. Two spruce, and then an ash that was dead, and a poplar. And one spruce, I counted 57 rings, but it was dead. Like there was no green. So I counted 57. I feel like I kind of
Carries up there.
we're actually gonna do a print.
Oops.
Willow trees. And it did the cookie and then, epoxy, sanded it down, leveled it out. It turned out beautiful.
Okay, everyone, I'd like to call the Committee of the Whole on August 5th, 2025 at 7:13. Will the clerk please proceed to the roll call?
Counselor Ledeen.
Here.
Counselor Anderson. Counselor Moffett.
Here.
Counselor Sweeney is excused. Counselor Fennessy. Counselor Elm.
Here.
Counselor Ludwig.
Here.
Counselor Herrick. Counselor Johnson.
Here.
Counselor Grasky.
Here.
And Mayor Payne.
Here.
Great, thank you. Number 2, old business. There is none. We will move on to item number 3, new business. I'd like to ask the mayor to maybe give us a little introduction on how we got here. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Most of my remarks I will save for the end when I introduce the actual process of priorities-based budgeting. But at that point, what I'm going to do is just show you how it. Thank you. Thank you. I will. All I'm going to do at the end of the meeting is show you how to use the new priorities-based budgeting process. There have been some changes thanks to the clerk's office, and I'll just walk you through that. But the rest of this evening is for you to learn about what's in this packet, what's going to be in that list that you can vote for. Many of these things should be very familiar or self-explanatory to you. I'll leave it up to the president to decide how we'll proceed from here on, but this is your opportunity to learn as much as you possibly can about these issues so that you can express your opinion on in the priorities-based budgeting survey afterwards. So you won't have much time to follow up after this meeting. Of course, you can reach out to me or department heads with questions afterwards. We will do our best to answer them, but we're going to look for a relatively quick turnaround on these surveys, probably this week. So you may run out of time to ask those things. So the meeting really is yours to do with as you will.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. Just to give a little bit of instructions just as we move along, just because this packet is a little bit bigger, this year I requested that the pages be numbered. So when I will be asking you on any type of section, we will be able to source that a lot easier this year. As you'll also notice, there's counselor requests or ideas within this packet. I'm going to ask that we as a group, we wait and move those to the end, and we deal with department heads first, trying to respect their time along with our time as far as to ask questions. And of course, just follow me if you're cool with that, and we'll just start chipping away at the department heads if you're okay with that. I believe do we have to make a motion to go into proposal? Okay, so I will just call on 3.1, discussion regarding 2026 general fund and capital improvement budget proposals. So first and foremost, on page 1, you have one item from the city attorney. He is not here today, so I would imagine that if there are any questions about this specific ask, it is additional funds for outside legal, looking into a 2026 consideration of a reevaluation year. I would suggest following up with Attorney Perrell on that if there are direct questions for that. Moving forward to then, we will move on to pages 3, 4, and 5 for the city clerk. I have obviously the clerk next to me. We are talking about items when it comes to agenda, management process improvement, historical archiving scanning, and document management system. So, of course, the clerk is here. Are there any questions from counselors about these three, requests at this time? Or if the clerk would like to say anything, please do. Introduce away.
I'll be really brief. All three of these items on your agenda or priorities ranking tool will be clumped together in one clerk improvement projects. You'll see that I brought a visual of the state of some of our permanent city records. These represent council proceedings from the 1890s to 1906 that have a wonderful aroma from our basement. And so I'm hoping to, not only with, saving some historic documents, improving some of the document management tools that we have available. They are well over 25 years old, and it's really impeded my ability to offer good research to the city for records requests and also to counselors in being able to find or search documents older than 20 years. Thank you.
Any questions from the council after Councilor Johnson?
Let me try that again. Could you just clarify what you had said about putting them all into one if they're ranked? Could you clarify what that meant?
When you see the ranking tool, we're going to give you a little demonstration of at the end of tonight.
Okay.
You won't see three different clerk tool ranks. It'll just be one clerk's office improvement projects instead of three individual things to rank.
I'm sure it'll make more sense when I see the tool. Thank you. Thank you.
Good question. Councilor Herrick.
Yeah, I just question, I see the deterioration going on with those old records. So once they're made digitally, for their stuff, are these going to be destroyed, or you still have to preserve these, or will you go ahead and reproduce them in written form?
So right now we only have the actual originals available to us. They're in pretty poor condition. If someone wanted to do some history on these, I may deny access to them because of their deteriorating condition. We would be able to use some money in regards to getting some archive scanning done of these originals. These originals are permanent records. By statute, I'm required to protect these and take good care of them, and it's been a little hard to do without some good resources to make them available.
Okay, so once that's done, I mean, I guess my question is, are you still hanging on to those? And if so, what will you do with them to preserve them?
One of the things in my request is to get some professional advice from an archivist about the best way to repair or either protect or stop them from degrading further. So that's in my request to commission some professional advice for archiving.
All right, thank you.
Any thoughts or more questions for Clerk Blunt? Oh, Councilor Fennessy.
Do we currently, to be able to scan those into like a digital format, do we currently have any of that technology already at like the library? I mean, obviously it would be extra time would be needed to do that.
Yeah, I believe, the Douglas County Historical Society Mr. Moffett has advised that, their scanner may be able to do that. They do have a large flatbed, large format scanner, and it wouldn't include having to remove the pages. We just have to open them up and put them flat down. We may also want to look into a service where, I don't believe the library has one, it's just a scanner that just lets you open an old book and it just top down takes a picture and reformats it nicely. So potentially, maybe if we had some funds or extra time or an internship to be able to do that scanning could be helpful as well.
Sure, thanks.
Great, thank you. Any more questions or comments for Clerk Blunt? Great. Moving on to, there is a request, one request from IT Connect Superior. I see Steph online up there. This is a neighborhood expansion. The entire city network is a low-level designed as a summer 2025, making phase 2 already engineered and ready to bid and build. Looking into 6 flexible sections. Any questions on this specific request from you as counselors? Okay, I will move on. We can always go back. We're not, Oh, go ahead, Councilor Herrick.
Just one question on this. I mean, is this something that IT is looking for in one lump sum, or is there something that can be maybe $1 million a year or something like that? Or, I mean, are they looking for the $500,000 at this point?
Director Becken, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Sorry, President Gretzky. Great question, Councilor Herrick. So our Vice President Herrick, at this point, every build out is important. So any amount of funding is significant, right? I think the biggest thing to look at here is $5 million does cover an entire neighborhood. That's a big chunk. It's an aggressive chunk. It's an exciting move. But as you've noted, $1 million goes a long ways. Our first phase was done in 1.4. So we can do significant build outs with smaller amounts of money. But as the mayor says, if you're going to ask, go ahead and ask you big to start, and we'll move forward from there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this specific? Mayor Payne.
Just want to point out that this will be relevant to several items where the actual cost isn't listed. So you could be voting for $500,000, you could be voting for $5 million, you could be voting for $40 million. A lot of how it's going to be structured, the priorities-based budgeting will be a tool to determine what the council's priorities and overall interest are. So if many people rank something much, much higher, that's likely to get more funded, get more money if the money is available, which is the other mitigating factor. So if it's kind of middle range, but still has broad support, then it will probably be funded, but at a smaller amount. Again, that'll be true of many things.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Payne. Okay, seeing no more on this specific request, we're going to move on to the ESD pages 8 and 9. There are 2 requests I'm seeing from Steve Roberts. I don't think Steve is here. And I don't see him online.
Madam Chair, and if there are any questions of department heads that are not here, I should be able to answer most of them.
Okay, so great. So these 2 are PFAS treatment system and main plant pump station enhancement. As you'll see the descriptions in front of you. Give a second to kind of take that in. there are questions, just put your light on. Councillor Herrick.
Yeah, don't mean to be asking all these questions, but
Go for it.
inquiring minds want to know. So.
Yeah.
Okay, on this, the PFASs and those is just for the new, our current landfill, or is this has to do with the old landfill also?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead, Mayor Payne.
This is for the current landfill. Hopefully we'll be ending the problem by closing the landfill, but there will be leachate for a very long time coming out of that landfill, and it's the #1 source of PFAS that we're finding in the wastewater system. So ESD is already doing a pretty outstanding job of doing some testing down there to find out what systems might work. It's largely failing. It's an incredibly difficult compound to break down, but that does put Superior at really the cutting edge of what's a national problem. This will be the next lead lines issue. At some point, it's going to be regulated. At some point, we're going to have to deal with it. So in this case, I'm pretty interested in being out ahead of it, but it is extremely expensive and very difficult to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fennessy.
So it's leaching out of the landfill and making its way back to the treatment center. Is that it's not like leaching into Lake Superior?
No,
Okay.
the leachate we have to collect and treat. So that's when you, as we have the landfill discussions, you'll see a lot of the phrase long-term care and closure, and monitoring. The care part is we have to monitor the leachate, which is liquid and gas, and that liquid, it's going to the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. And do we? I know there's not a price on here. Is that? I mean, is this a? You said it's expensive. Is this a $2 million expensive or $50 million?
$50 million.
Okay.
I hope we get it down to $2. Right now we got to figure out how to do it, and there's a lot of emerging technology. The real risk here is we have to balance the very serious environmental risk of PFAS, because if we're not treating it, at some point it is going out into Lake Superior. That's so just because we're catching it at the landfill doesn't mean we're meaningfully solving the problem before it gets to the lake. But nobody's really figured out how to do it. There's a lot of and this is where I'm probably out of my depth a little bit, but we don't 100% know how to do it effectively. And once we figure that out, it's going to be extremely expensive because we'll be among the first people really doing it. But I also don't want it going out into Lake Superior. So I'd like to be on the leading edge environmentally, even if we wait 30 years, there's probably all kinds of grant money for it. But then we'll have sent a lot of PFAS into the lake.
Thank you.
Any other questions for ESD or about ESD's proposals?
Sorry, one.
Oh, go for it, Councillor
One more.
Fennessy.
If
Go for it.
Would we be able to fund this through the stormwater fund, or is this just such a big financial lift that we're going to need to go outside of that?
This is actually in my notes to answer later, but it would be out of the wastewater fund. So this actually won't appear on the priorities-based budgeting list. The reason it's in here is because this packet is generated from the department head retreat, where all of our senior staff bring their big ideas. And Steve Roberts is part of the team, and he brought some big ideas. So you will still see this. This will be part of generating the wastewater budget, which will be part of the overall budget. So think of it as like an extra CIP, but that gets generated in the Public Works Committee.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, moving on. We're going to move on to finance, which is in pages 10, 11, 12, and 13. I see Director Reinhardt is here, and I don't know if we're talking about where is it here? The irrigation system out at the golf course, it looks like. So there might be some questions on this that you have for Director Reinhardt is here. Okay. Councillor Johnson and then Councillor Herrick, please.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Herrick first and then Councillor Johnson second.
Thank you. Yeah, just a question on this. Of the revenues that the golf course takes in, is there any money that's set aside for big projects like this, or where is that increase going as far as revenues go?
That's a great question on this project, and we're kind of still examining some funding sources for this. We haven't completely given up. Any cash we can put towards this project would be excellent, which is why we just put the total amount. But we do expect the golf course to have some sort of contribution to this at the end of the day. It's not going to be fully funded, being backed by the taxpayers. I just want to make that very clear. But the golf course does make revenue. It could afford to take some debt. It can't afford to take the full $4 million.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. So I think I heard what you said, but I think maybe you might have said it wrong. The golf course cannot afford to take this $4 million on by itself. Is that correct?
Correct. So there's not enough revenue to take out a full $4 million bond at the golf course, per our analysis with Ellers. We are exploring some other avenues, which we still have to do a bunch of analysis on, so I don't want to really publicly share yet till we get a little further down that road. But I'm feeling more and more confident we've kind of developed some paths to work through on this, where the golf course contributes its share back to the project.
Okay. And can you kind of explain, and you did a great job writing this up, but just to, because we talked about this at the last golf course committee meeting, I think it's really important. Can you kind of talk about the importance of moving to phase 2 here before, waiting too long?
Sure. So I'll take a step back and talk about what phase 1 exactly is in case any counselors or public hasn't heard about it. It's currently dredging the ponds and then tying them together. What this does is it increases the water capacity at the golf course, so then they're pulling less off the water system during droughts or dry seasons. Those ponds are pretty important to this. Phase 2, however, is the actual pipes, the electrical, everything that actually makes the water spray at the golf course. The current system, which we believe to be built sometime in the 70s or 80s, original to the course, and then throughout the additions of the golf course were added at the time they were put in. We're seeing rapid failures quicker and quicker every year. I believe we had one failure this year, which a pipe broke. Sometimes they're hard to track down when this happens too, because they're all buried. But with that pipe breaking, it took about 800 man-hours of hand watering this section of the course. It was quite extensive. So what we're seeing more and more of these breaks, not only in the piping itself, but in the electrical system itself. I know this year they had a problem with the electrical as well, where they just temporarily laid a cable across the ground because they have no clue where that break is underground. So on top of just water issues with this, we have electrical issues, and we're seeing it more and more. And I just want to express how important this is to the golf course. You know, golf courses are high maintenance grass. This isn't your typical lawn that's just going to grow, in normal circumstances. This is something that the city has invested in years over years, and leaving that grass unwatered or leaving to manual watering is quite costly. And let's say the asset did fall due to not being watering, it could be millions in just getting the asset back up to snuff. It doesn't take that long for these golf courses to really dry up and go
deteriorate. Yeah. Can you kind of express what, when you talk about an asset, that really kind of clicked with me there. Can you talk about the value of the asset to the city, the golf course as an asset to the city as Superior? Maybe I know it's hard to maybe put a number or a figure on what that's worth, but can you just talk about what that might be, how that might be valued to the city of Superior?
I'm going to struggle with this one a little bit because I think everyone has a different definition of value in this. To golfers, the golf course is irreplaceable. It's super valuable. To the city council right now, I don't know. Maybe the city council doesn't value golf as high, and it's not the priority from them. What I will say about this asset is that one time the city council decided to get into the golf course business, and they invested a bunch of money into building this beautiful course. As the value, it's a massive chunk of land. It's beautiful. I think golf courses have become more multi-use now. Besides golfing, we see cross-country meets run on them. We're seeing a lot of event spaces come out of them. So I think there's different types of value in there, and I can't just put like a solid number on this either, because it's such a unique situation how the city acquired this. This was land donated by Enbridge, which they kind of specified for this use because the pipeline runs under it. So it's not like homes can be built on top of certain parts of the golf course. It's a very unique asset. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit with the value of the course is, and I'm not 100% on this statistic, but as far as I know, at least in the Midwest, this is the only 36-hole municipal golf course. It's a very unique asset. You look over in Duluth and you look at the golf courses they had a 27-hole course and they reduced it to 18. In this region, we're the only one that has that, and in most of the area that I know of, it's one of the few golf courses that's actually thriving and making money in such a short season that we already have in the northern region.
That answered my questions and much more, so thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Any more questions from councilors or comments about this specific request from Director Reinhardt? Seeing none. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Okay, on to the Superior Fire Department. We're going to look through pages 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. I believe I got that right in our packet. By all means, Chief, if you wanted to come up and explain anything, please feel free to. Otherwise, councilors, please start with your questions. Councilor Fennessy.
I did have a question on the funding for mental health evals, and I love that this is in here, keeping a. We talk about getting ahead of the PFAS and getting ahead of the irrigation system at the golf course, and this is equally as important. The last line in the description, it talks about the bridging the gap until the employee can access the EAP.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just kind of explain that gap a little bit?
So when we access our EAP program, it can take days sometimes to get it seen with someone. So we would have this mental health care professional who specializes in working with emergency responders and having access to that individual on a 24/7 basis, and even on critical calls, having them come to the scene depending on how long we're going to be on the scene on those calls to provide that support immediately before the person leaves for their shift, goes home for a day, and separates themselves from the crew.
So this is more than just once a year, run through the department. Here's your evals, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, it's a combination of having the neck-up checkup, I guess would be a term for it, once a year, as well as having access to emergency services for these individuals.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Any questions from councilors on the Superior Fire Department requests? Okay, thank you, Chief. We're going to move on to the Human Resources section here on pages 26, 27, and 28. We have funds to purchase swag for employee milestone years, as you'll see when people are reaching 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 35. We also have funds to staff an intern student worker and safety and loss prevention coordinator. Any questions? I see that Director Janago is on Cami online, so if you have questions. Mayor Payne.
I just want to point out the idea of milestone achievement awards, gifts for employees. I love that idea so much. It's getting funded. If you prioritize it, it will be funded at a much higher amount.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. Any thoughts, comments, questions on these ideas here in front of you? All right, we will move on to a library, which you can find in pages 33, 34, 35, and 36. I see Sue Heskin is online there as well, so we have her available for questions or comments by the council. Thoughts as well are appreciated. Mayor Payne.
Sorry,
no.
I'm going to answer Councillor Sweeney's question since he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
The library is also a separate fund, and the library board is 100% in charge of what they fund. The only thing that the city will be can fund is the actual amount that we allocate to the library, the total single dollar amount. It is one line item. But I appreciate Director Heskin letting you know that if you give her an increase, this is what she will be spending it on. I think we've done that a few times over the years. They have always honored those commitments when we've expressed, hey, we're giving you money to do this thing, then they do it. So what this would equate to, you'll just be funding the library, and we'll give them more money, and these are the cool things that they would do. But I do need to reinforce that they are in charge of how that amount will be spent.
Thank you, Mary Payne. Any thoughts, questions, comments? Okay, moving forward, we are going to go on to parks. This is a little larger of an area here, so pages 39, 49 through 65. I think what you'll see in here is a list of things from the museums. And I believe that due to goals and deadlines, this was just areas and thoughts to put in front of the council. I don't think would be a bad idea as far as what our museums look like. Maybe it's not an area we've technically gotten so deep into, but I think it's a nice reference for us as a council. Of course, our director is here if you have questions for her at this moment on any of these proposals. I'll give you all a second. It's a little thicker of an area, so. Of course, I just remember the council, if questions do come up at the end of us going through these, please feel free to share. Okay, not seeing much from that section purely, but maybe it's really, really well, thoroughly written. So I appreciate that on that end. Let's move on to the Superior Police Department. I'm going to go with pages 67, 68, 73, and 74. Any questions at this time for the Superior Police Department, or thoughts or comments on the requests? Anything to add? Please feel free to come up. Chief? Councillor Johnson, did you have a question?
Just real quick, I guess more of a comment. I would love to see the EVP go through on this budget. I know we've been talking about it at least since I've been on the council, and I'm sure probably before then, so I'd love to see that go through. I think especially it's important now that we're, I talked with Chief Fulbrecht about this too, but especially now that we're looking forward to that bridge closing, that now might be the time to get people kind of trained and used to that, both the folks using those in our emergency service vehicles, but also the citizens. This would be something that we could use like in multiple departments too, correct?
Yes, that's correct. It would apply to multiple the police department, the fire department, the ambulance service. Rigs are already equipped with it, so this would benefit all emergency services. And that's my number one budget priority out of this, or recommendation.
Councillor Herrick.
Yeah, just one question. It says 21 signals, but there are some that are already out there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Some of the signals that were built more recently, the system was installed on them already. That's my understanding of it.
All right, thanks.
Any other comments, questions, thoughts? Okay, thank you, Chief. Appreciate your time. All right, and then last but not least, Public Works. I'm just a little scattered, but pages 69, 70, 71, and 72, and I believe there's something on page 2. Not sure if you have questions for Director Janigal at this time. Always happy to hear your comments, questions, experience, however you feel.
Do you mind if I borrow you for 2 seconds here, since Public Works is up?
Yeah.
I don't think it showed up 3 times. I know Chief Fulbright, Chief Winterscheid, and myself all put in a request for the EVP system. There are 21 signals throughout the city. Some of them are 1990s vintage. Some of them along Belknap are they have the majority of the equipment in them, but they're not functional with our vehicles yet. So the 21 signals would cover all of those. The DOT is putting in temporary signals on Grand Avenue, Winter Street at Grand, Winter Street at Catlin, and those will also have the full EVP system. With the big thing is the confirmation beacons. So when the emergency vehicles are going that direction, there will be a confirmation beacon, a little white light that tells them that they have the preemption. That light is green and they can keep going through it. So it'll protect them from, because it's an interesting city with people coming from different directions. Another truck, squad, something coming from another direction may not get that, and they'll have to know that. So there'll probably be some training on that end. The other thing we can do with it, and this is my number 1 priority also, which is why I wanted to come up. The other thing we can do with it as a secondary, there's different levels. Obviously, the EMS would take over, but our snowplows will not have to stop. We can use that as a secondary priority. There's some stuff out there, probably by the manufacturer. I haven't seen a lot of it where cities are saving up to 20%. They're more efficient in their snow plowing because the plows don't have to stop at every signal along Belknap and wait. And the other secondary use would be the DTA that would keep them on schedule, and they can only use it per their policy when they're behind schedule to keep up on their stops. So there's plenty of uses for it. It's my number 1 priority, and I think it's very important for you to look very hard at it. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Now that we've kind of gone through all the department head packets and requests, if there are any last questions or comments that have arisen from these requests that you would like to ask as a council or mayor at this time. Not seeing much out there, and that's just fine. So I want to say appreciate all the department heads for being here. I think I can entertain a break right now, or if we want to keep pushing, that's up to this council. I think I see a lot of let's keep going, which I appreciate from all of you. So now we're going to dive into council requests, which are within the packet. So if you take my guidance, I will tell you those page numbers as we move through. I'm going to start with Councillor Moffitt. Those pages will stem from pages 40 through 48. Garner, I'm going to give you the floor to kind of take just a little bit of time on some of the specifics that you have added to this packet. You do have, I think, 9 in here, and feel free to just kind of give us a brief tap in on those, and then if we have questions directly to Councillor Moffitt, please feel free to put your light on, and I'll help guide that. Go ahead,
Excuse me,
Garner.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Could I just reiterate that
Yes.
the department heads are excused
Yes.
for the evening, both in person and online, with the exception of my police chief, of course.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Payne. Thank you, department heads, very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Starting on page 40, Deputy Director of Planning. I put this in the budget requests last year as well. Our planning department does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of future land use, economic development, processing grant applications, historic preservation, all sorts of things. But I feel like the work that they do often is an investment in creating better value for the city overall. When we look at land use and things in the future, we're able to create more tax productive properties, and we're able to help our small businesses, and we're able to build affordable housing and all sorts of fun things. And so I look at this as an investment. I think we should really consider investing in a deputy director position to help expand and better focus some of that work within the department, and also plan for department changes over time by spreading things out and spreading out that institutional knowledge. The next one I have is the lead pipe replacement and utility acquisition funds. Federal grant programs may be unavailable in upcoming budget years. We're not sure what's going to be available. So interested in the city prioritizing money to replace lead lines, and also look at long-term utility costs for our residents. I think our residents are going to look forward, not positively, to pretty much all of their expenses going up next year, most likely, except for their income will not probably go up to match, right? And so we really need to figure out ways that we can provide those core services, necessities for people at an affordable rate. And so I think that's an important place to put some money. So again, it's an investment looking at how we can lower long-term costs for our residents. And the next item is infill tree plantings. Our tree planting program, I think, has been a big success for our city, and it really makes us look wonderful. It also slows traffic, provides cooling effects, increases property values, and I think it's just a wonderful way to beautify our city as well and create some pride. So I'd love to see us potentially enhance that funding a little bit. And I think mostly about our primary collector roads, and those are the places where people tend to drive too quickly, and we have to worry about pedestrians crossing and things like that. And so those are the places I'd love to focus on creating that extra treescaping and stuff to help with traffic patterns and those other things there. I'd like to see us potentially throw some money in our affordable housing fund if we can. I'm not sure our full outlook for the budget for next year. I don't think any of us have an exact number, right? Because it's a little early, but I think if we have some money available, it'd be nice to put some money in there to look at land trust or affordable housing construction or renovation loans for people for roofs or all sorts of different things to help people again, stay in their homes, purchase homes that might not otherwise be able to do that, and to help people build that economic stability into their lives. That's a important thing for most people in our community, and I think that's something that a lot of people in our community really struggle with. The rental rates in our city are very high, and so I think if we can commit some funds to helping people have affordable housing, again, that's a base necessity for our residents, and I think it's somewhere where we can really do better to help them out. Page 44, stipends for committee and commission members. I think, it says it right in there. We deserve the best qualified members for our committees and committees that represent the whole of our community, not just those who can afford to serve. People are often excluded from serving on committees because they need to pay for childcare or because they miss another paid position that is during that time or whatever. And so I feel like if we value having diverse opinions and diverse representation and the best qualified expertise and representation on our committees, we should pay for it. I'm not suggesting we make that a job, of course, but I am suggesting that we provide a small stipend so that they could pay for a babysitter for an hour or two, and maybe they would miss work for an hour or two, and it would help cover some of the cost of that as well. And so I'm suggesting a $30 stipend for non-council members, so people who aren't already receiving some sort of payment, so that they could attend those meetings as an appointed member. Page 45, Downtown Design Manual. I met with a planner, Patrick Brunner, and there's some information on his website there, cardo.design. You can look it up. And he wants to help us with a comprehensive document that would focus on historic structures in our downtown. This is based off a document that we had when I was working on planning stuff in St. Cloud like 20 years ago. And it's really neat. I'd love to share a sample with anybody that's interested. It shows on one page of the document, it's like put together as a booklet. So on the left side, it'll have a historic photo and current photo of the building front. And then on the right side, it's basically photoshopped or like illustrated potential changes to that storefront and how you can improve it. And it will phase the steps and explain to you, like, here's some small things you can do to make those improvements. The reason that this is really important is this work really largely isn't getting done to our downtown without this intervention. I can tell you that in St. Cloud, they put together a booklet like this 20 years ago, and almost every property in the book, those projects were completed by the property owners, and they're really neat. But we have all these building owners that run businesses. They're focused on their business. They're passionate about their business. Largely, they're not focused on architecture. They're not focused on streetscaping. That's not their expertise. They've got other things to worry about. And so having this like tool available for them to help show them the steps and how they can phase it over time and what needs to get done or whatever really helps them complete those projects. And overall, it's a pretty low cost, I think, to really do some significant downtown redevelopment. Of course, we could use this to inspire people to tap into our small business loan program, which we already have, and I think that would be wonderful. That program was designed to a large degree to help people with storefront projects, and we haven't been getting as many of those as I think as we would hope, and so this might help spur the right types of projects and more of those projects to help our downtown succeed. Page 46 is the downtown playbook. Similar to that, a big passion of mine is downtown development. This consultant would be able to come in and help us look at how we view our downtown, and a lot of it is talking about civic pride, small steps we can take, and then help us create like a small active task force that would jump in and just kind of start doing the small things. You don't have to tackle the biggest things right away. You can just like find any small thing. What's the easiest thing to do, and you do it, and you move on to the next, right? And so this is just bringing in a consultant that would come help us spur that work. Again, it's a really small investment to really help spur economic development and revitalize our downtown area. Page 47, I had talked with the Public Works Department. I've been out to the municipal garage building. It definitely does need some improvements. A lot of the facility is pretty dated, and I don't think adequately serves that staff as well as it could. The big thing that I think is really critical as a first step is to get a battery backup in there and then add some solar panels. And those could go right over the fuel loading station. There's a flat roof on there, and you could put the solar panels right on top of that. And the reason this is so critical is that currently we don't have a battery backup system there, and so if the power goes out, they can't run the fuel pumps there, and that's how we refuel our pumps and our city vehicles and everything like that. And so if we needed to use our plows in an emergency or other vehicles to like clear pathways or whatever we need to do, at some point we would run out of fuel and we wouldn't be able to refuel them. So I think this is really critical, and I think we could go a lot less than 75,000 if we needed to, if we just did a battery system to start, and then but I think ideally we should get some solar panels on there so that it keeps recharging that battery. That way we can keep refueling our vehicles. The fire department does have the capability to use their F-150 pickup trucks to power things for short amounts of time, but that's really cool technology, and it works really well. The challenge is if you have to stop somewhere and plug that truck in to power something, then it can't be on the road and performing other tasks and stuff, and you've got it as a stationary battery. So that's why I think this other technology is really important. Page 48, looking at YMCA memberships in an effort. We've talked a lot about health and wellness goals for our staff members, and offering compensation packages and a healthy work environment for our employees isn't only about salary. And so I think one of the other things that we should consider in the balance to help people create healthy lifestyles is to sponsor YMCA memberships. And I believe that they'd be able to come on site and offer some programming to our staff for nutrition or yoga or whatever. And they also, by us supporting the YMCA, they offer free memberships to everyone who is low income in our community already, and it helps support that work. There are water safety classes, which are critical to the young people in our community. Our city is surrounded by water on 3 sides and almost 4 because of the Nemadji. And so I think, those services they provide and the daycare and everything else is really critical. And this gives us a way to support their work that they're doing to help our lowest income residents, and also provides health and wellness opportunities for our employees, which I think is a really awesome deal. They've got a great pool system over there and fitness center and an indoor track, and if people want to go walking in the winter or whatever, and so lots of cool opportunities. I think that's it.
I think, yeah, I do too.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes. Any questions for Councillor Moffitt on those 9 requests? Your passion does not go non-seen. So, Councillor Fennessy.
Yeah, man, I don't know if this not necessarily a question for directly for Councillor Moffitt, but with the lead pipe replacement, like any grant, there's no guarantee from year to year what's going to be available. But if for the grants that are currently made available, what does that look like for the city? And maybe that's even more of a question for Mayor Payne, where as it sits today, or even in 2026, what does that look like for the city? Do we know?
If we did them all, I think I pegged it at $1 to $2 million would be our share of every residential lead line. Obviously, that is an extremely variable number, as you mentioned. I think the first phase, though, that we're looking at for 2026, the grant application that the utility filled out, those properties would be eligible, could be eligible for up to 100% reimbursement. So yes, we are dependent on actually receiving that grant, but overall, I think a lead lines fund is going to be necessary. We have a commitment to replace every lead line in the city. So I think setting aside the money is going to be important. How much of it we're going to be spending remains an open question, but I think $1 to $2 million gets most of it done.
And with the grants that were applied for 2026, will we know what that funding is going to look like before the budget's set, or not?
Probably.
Okay.
Councillor Herrick.
Yeah. And to add to that question, is that coming out of the wastewater fund too, or is that totally separate?
No, I'd love to, but I just don't think I can justify that. Both wastewater and stormwater have statutory restrictions, and this would be just too much of a reach. I think we're going to have to do a separate fund. Okay.
And then a question in regards to the stipends for committee and commission members. If this was to be, would you also consider maybe giving our auxiliary police a stipend too, since they're out there working with the public?
Councillor Moffitt?
Yeah, I'd love to learn more about that. I don't know a lot about that program, so I haven't included it, but I would be open to learning more about that and potentially doing so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
I I guess my only question, where did I see it now? I think it was your first one. There it is. So the lead line replacement and utility acquisition funds, are those two separate requests or one request from you, Councilor Moffett?
I mean, I think they're related, and so I bundled them together. For me, it's just dealing with excessive utility costs and a system in our community that has not been maintained, and we have super high rates. And so I think for our consumers, it comes down to, well, everyone in the city is a forced consumer. How do we keep those costs down for them so that we can have reasonable utility costs in our community? And so that involves the lead pipe and the looking at the other numbers as well.
Okay, because I mean, I'm fully on board with the lead pipe replacement. I'm glad the mayor's sticking to his promise of making all those lead lines go away as quickly as we can and as affordably as we can. I'm not sold on the utility acquisition yet, so I have a hard time. I guess maybe this would be a question for when the sorting tool comes out, but in my mind, those two things are much different than together, so I'd like to see them separated.
Mayor Payne.
I don't see utility acquisition. There will probably be some last-minute cleanup of this tool before morning. I don't see utility acquisition in there, and it may not need to be. The soonest we'd be expending any significant costs would be 2027. So I just don't see that being a factor for the 2026 budget. That doesn't mean it can't be ranked if we want to start talking about it and putting much more research funds in it, but right now it is not.
Councilor Fennessy.
I was going to say the question for once we get into it, but kind of on that same vein of splitting those two up, because I think they are two completely different things. One's getting into a new business venture. One is providing the clean water. Kind of on that same vein, the opposite way, like with these. Specific to Councilor Moffett's request, we've got the downtown playbook as one, and the downtown design manual as one also, where I think those two are very closely related, and I think they're both fantastic ideas. I would hate to use two of my votes for that same thing. So I mean, I was gonna save that question for the end, but while it was brought up, I figured I'd at least mention it now.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think when we get to the end of this, which will be shortly, you'll start to see how we're going to approach this and make it as as fun as it can be when we get down to numbers and stuff. So appreciate your thought there. Any other questions for Councilor Moffett on his requests? Okay, I will move on to Councilor Grasky's. That is through pages 20, 21, and 22. You'll first see there is a request through the nonprofit grant fund, essentially trying to make sure that either this is something we've always done, had an option as a council, either keeping that, having a pulse, or maybe it's sat at its legacy. Just wanted to put it in front of you to get the ideas spinning, see where that might be approachable for some of your ideas or thoughts or visions for the city. More or less just to keep our eye on the ball on that one. Moving on to 21, we have a website manager, City of Superior's social media manager. I think some councilors sitting out there have had this request in many different ways. I just don't want us to lose sight of it. I can say on tourism, there's a discussion right now on how to possibly half and half this situation, but it's going to take some talking and it's going to take some number crunching. So I just wanted to put it in your perspective to know that I believe our social media essentially and our website is a underutilized tool. I think we're doing a good job, but I think we can do a better job. So that's why it's in front of you. And then Public Arts Fund. I think it's no secret, my passion for public arts, and I've appreciated this council for supporting that in the past. To get anyone up to speed, it is not a not a rolling fund. So we are tender, and we choose carefully what we are spending this on. But I think once we have seen some of the attraction and love and passion for what we've been doing in the past year or so has gotten great traction, and I would love to see some type of rollover go towards this and keep this going for the future, whether I'm here or any of you are here. I think it improves so many aspects of the city, not just a sculptural mural. There's a lot more to this than that. So this might not be the tactic per se, terminal tax, but it is there's options. I know that I've talked with the mayor on some other areas to go into, but I would ask for your support at some point to consider some options if they are applied. So that's all that I have on those 3 requests. I'm happy to take questions. Councillor Moffett.
Thank you. I'd like to commend you for including the social media person in there. I think that's something that we definitely have needed for a while. And I know that potentially it could be a shared position, which I think is a good way to do that.
Yeah.
And when we had talked about it last year too, I think it's important to point out that all of our department heads get paid north of $100,000 or something like that, and we have them all, I don't know, whatever, but they're high salary amounts, and we have these people like figuring out social media or how to assign that to their staff or work that in or whatever. And I just feel like having a specialized person on staff that they could send that to would really help every department do outreach work better. And I know the library also requested a similar position, and so that might be another potential opportunity to I really think having somebody that's specialized in this work would benefit all of our departments and the citizens of our city. And so, I think any way we can figure out how to share that, at least to get it started, I think would be really great. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes. And I think a lot of us do some type of work, and whether it's personal or for this position or for your job. So if these ideas come to you in the middle of the night like they do for me, please share them, because we can finesse this as a group. This is not just a, personal thing. I think a lot of us think of it in a certain way, but we can really finesse this position to really benefit the city as a whole in the long run. So thank you. I don't know if you have any more questions for me, but happy to take them. Otherwise, we can move on to Councillor Herrick. He's on pages 23, 24, and 25. Go for it, Councillor Herrick.
Thank you. Just so you know, as you're looking at mine, I assure you that when I sent these in, they were readable. You can read them. So I just don't want you all to think that I was out at the neighborhood pub there and having a few. But no, this.
Thank you for the clarification. My goodness, yes.
Yeah, I did not do this. I got proof right here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go off of my copy so I can read it too. So. Okay. First one is I know a lot of communities, especially in the summertime, have what they call a community pool. Of course, that would be very, very expensive. I know we're getting a splash pad, which will help out. But as far as the hot summer months go, was looking as maybe partnering up with the Y during the months of June, July, and August, and maybe 2 days a week at 2 hours at a time, have the pool available to the whole community. And the estimate right now I'm still working on as far as the cost estimate with the Y. Some of the benefits to this, of course, is that you'll have, especially the parents' concerns, you'll have lifeguard versus if you were at the lake or somewhere like that. And a lot of people don't like that, so they would prefer something where they can actually go and feel comfortable with their children swimming. Again, looking at this would be definitely a lot more or less expensive than having the Superior build a community pool. The second one is mental health care. That's kind of an area that's dear to me for the simple fact is I've known a lot of, and I mentioned this before to others, I've known a lot of young people, young adults that ended up losing their life because of mental illness, meaning that they're looking for a way out, a way to avoid it. And so they start with alcohol, then they turn to minor drugs, and then they get into the stuff where, unfortunately, just a little bit will bring them to the point of no return. I know right now we do have out there a area where these young kids can go. Right now they are applying for a grant through the finance department for $50,000 to help continue. What happens there is the kids are referred to from the high school counselors and then referred to this counseling facility here in Superior, which is something Superior needs greatly. The request, it's not on there, but at least for this point, as I'm looking at $25,000 in addition to any type of grants that are available to this particular. So this is in addition to any grants they can apply for within the city. Again, if we catch this in time, I think a lot of the kids that I knew actually were the same age as my youngest son, and they unfortunately were succumbed to the drugs and they ended up passing away. So what we're looking at here too is I'd like to see programs where if they're having troubles, where they can go to, and that hopefully by getting the help they need, they will have the opportunity to become productive citizens of Superior. Then the last one is, we're looking at, especially in this one, if money was no object, and I like that. So this one I just put under Public Works. It's increase bus service in Superior. As we all know, there's two areas of our city, the west end and the south end, where busing has been eliminated. So right now, if I were to ask amount, and unfortunately this would be a higher amount, but right now I just have the figures for the Billings Park area. That's at least $400,000 a year increase in funding. It's a big one, but again, I'm going by if money were no object. With South End, it probably, and again, I'm still waiting for figures to come back, would easily be maybe another $300,000. Yeah, so this is something, and I've gotten a lot of calls on this that, hey, especially with all this bridge work going on, that's going to be going on, is we need transportation. We need to get to where we got to go. And so this is kind of something, we also did take this down Superior Days, and I've been trying to work with the DOT secretary there. I'm waiting for her to return my call. Other than that, that's all I have. I'll keep it simple. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Herrick. Any questions or comments? Councillor Ledeen.
Councillor Herrick, just a few.
Sure.
Or one, really. I perk up on the busing situation.
Sure.
I'm in my area is in the same boat you are.
Right.
So I mean, I'm interested in your conversations with DTA. I mean, are these numbers coming directly from them or?
Well, what happens is in June that's when the DOT distributes their funding for the 2025 year. So actually, even though we're halfway through, they're still got to present money for 2025. So this happened in June, so I waited a month, make sure everything would play out. And so I did reach out to them, and that's what I'm trying to hear back, what amount the DOT, if they increased our funding. And if not, I'm also reached out to DTA because they're the ones who really know the amount of funding that they receive. So I'm waiting to call back from the DOT at this point. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Anderson.
Hi. So thank you for your idea about the mental health. Obviously, that is very important to me because what I do for a living. I was just curious about what kind of services are you suggesting to donate to? I mean, obviously mental health, but are you thinking like grants so that people can open places or services, or something for kids, or?
Well, actually, there is a place, and unfortunately, the name escapes me at the moment. There is a place that has opened up in East End of Superior, and she is taking students currently. And of course, the need and the increase for funding is there. And what's nice about her program is she's able to have interns, and these interns are able to work with these students also. So she's not overburdened with people coming in, with these kids coming in. So right now, that particular program is opened up to the junior high and high school kids. So,
Thank you.
Any more questions for Councilor Herrick? I do want to tap in on that bus situation. You know, I think from District 10's point of view too, things have increased over there. So I would suggest maybe some of us getting together to kind of see. I mean, we have no magic wand per se, but you know, we have to speak up if it's not perfect, or not perfect, but can't be perfect. But you know, our reflection and what people are going through really matter. And I think sometimes, not that we're overlooked in this scenario, but just keep pushing that envelope. I appreciate you bringing it to the floor.
Sure, no problem. And also too, just your information, a couple of years ago, they did the big bus blueprint, and that actually worked out great. I mean, ridership was way up. We're talking about probably at least 3,000 people. So that program is excellent. That worked out great. However, again, the bad thing is it eliminates the bus service for South End and West End. So.
Right. Thank you. Okay. Excuse me. Going to move on to Ladine here on pages 29 and 30, and also kind of Ludwig. I know that there was some talk about this might be more about parks, under the parks. And maybe Nick, me and you, and if Mary want to jump in on this too. These are more projects that would align with the, I guess, park ideas capital in that area. So go ahead if you would like to explain just a little.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
I think in talking briefly with you a little bit, President Grasky, talking with the mayor, you'll probably see some of these on your priority-based budgeting sheet more as just parks improvements versus individual lines. It's specific requests that we came up with. Like I said, mainly a lot of our park funding for specific projects is looked at through the Parks and Rec Commission, through the Capital Improvement Fund. So we have specific ones here. I mean, I have no problem touching on mine if that's not a problem. Ideas I have had. You see the big one for the indoor playground. This is something I've heard from residents and constituents of something up here in the winter. Mayor had talked about think grand, think big. If anyone has taken any of their children to Edinburgh Park in Edina, they have seen a monstrous, wonderful indoor playground that is out of this world. It doesn't have to be along those lines, but something winter-wise, indoor playground. Parks has been my wheelhouse. The other request that you've seen is specific for my area. Take a look at the 58th Street softball fields. I have also had how would I phrase it? The unfortunate and wonderful ability to join the ranks of a travel soccer parent this last summer. I don't know if any on the council, Councilor Fennessy, I think you've been down that road. I was able to get firsthand look at some of these soccer tournaments, youth soccer tournaments that are hosted in the area, whether it be Hudson, Eau Claire, down in the cities, and these are hundreds of kids and thousands of people who converge on these communities for these weekend tournaments. And all I could think of every single time I was there at one of these is, why don't we have something like this? We need something like this. Why can't we get in on this thing? So talked with some people over at the Spear Soccer Association. Got an idea here. 58th Street softball fields have been underutilized for a while. They're in my district. I've lived out there for decades. Softball has declined to the point where I almost think kind of what we've done in parks with a lot of our tennis courts, we've refitted those for pickleball. We need to adapt to some of the outdoor recreation that is popular and gaining traction. And if anyone has seen, soccer is exploding nationally. It's exploding in our Northland. Superior Soccer Association might have the highest enrollment or participation of any of our youth sports in Superior, but they have no real area to go. So you see some ideas that these were drawn up by SSA leadership of what a possible soccer complex would look like at 58th Street softball field. Possibilities are also this could be utilized for lacrosse, another exploding sport in popularity for a place to go, a place to hold tournaments, a place to bring in people. So those were my two requests. I don't know if Councilor Ludwig would also like to speak on hers that didn't make it, but I can gladly field any questions also.
Thank you, Councilor Ledeen. Councilor Ludwig, did you want to speak on just telling us the beautifulness of your idea? I think it was the fountain.
Yeah, well, any of us that have gone to, Hammond Park know that the Hammond Park fountain, well, and since I've been in the community for 30 plus years, and it was always, just a planter. But the history of it, of course, is that this fountain was donated by John Hammond's family, and of course we know that that General Hammond was one of our major developers of the city. And so I think the time really has come for us to decide whether we want to restore this fountain or let it go, because if we really look closely at it, the shape is, it is really deteriorating at a fast pace. And so from year to year, I just keep putting this request in, hopefully that one of these days it's going to make it through, or even that, I think at this point in time, even I think we need a consultant to come in, someone who knows about restoration work, to even let us know, to advise us, yes, it's restorable, or or has to rebuild, or whatever. So that's why I put it on my request. The other request that I put in, of course, was for Hammond Park playground improvement. This did get passed as for the CIP items. I think we passed it through council, through the Parks Commission on 5/22, approved by the council on 6/3. But I just wanted to make sure that it didn't fall through the cracks in our 2026 budgeting. And I do want to state that and Councilor Ledeen knows this, that Hammond Park playground improvement was scheduled for this year, but I did, and I probably could have pushed it with the commission, but I thought that bathrooms for Webster Dream Park and for Central Park were more important at this point in time than the playground equipment. But I do want to carry through for my constituents and make sure that Hammond Park gets their playground. So that's all I have as far as for the parks improvements.
Great. Thank you for both of you sharing your ideas for that you put in the packet, and along knowing that they go within the parks asks as well. So thank you for that clarification. Okay, councilors, are there any questions for Councilor Ludwig or Ledeen on their projects or their request forms? Not hearing any. I do invite Mayor Payne to come down, and we're going to finish this meeting talking about the next step. I'm going to have Clerk Blunt and Mayor Payne just kind of describe that briefly so we can get nice and out of here.
Well, the clerk is setting that up. Councilors, I'll just get through a few of my notes. So the priorities-based survey, this will be our first ever digital survey that we've done. This should be a little bit easier for everybody to use, and will automatically collect the data. I'm going to have us release this first thing in the morning, or if we can right now, and we're going to just keep it live for 24 hours. Read it, send back feedback. I caught a couple of mistakes that I have to correct by morning. The clerk is nodding. She caught a few as well. If you catch anything, or if there's something you feel needs to be in there, let us know by close of business tomorrow, and we'll get that fixed up. So what this is, first, it's important to note that this is not policy. You are not building the budget here. This is a tool to help me and the rest of the administration build the budget. It's my responsibility to create a proposed budget for you, your responsibility to pass it. But like any other legislative body, you can make changes to it. As I've said year over year, my goal is to present to you a budget that you can adopt without changes. But so to do that, I need to know what you need to see in it. So ultimately, I will use this tool to try and generate something so that every single counselor has some things, if not most of the things they want to see in the budget. You should be pleased with what you see when I present it in the first Tuesday in October. Obviously, it will not have everything that you want or everything that all of us want. This is an exercise in our priorities. The other thing, and I'll just be blunt about this is something of a political tool. We are going to publish the results. It will be in the budget book. You get to say what you, as a counselor, want to see in the city. Whether it is in the budget or not, it's a statement of your priorities for the city. And that's something that you'll be able to refer back to year over year over year. Those are permanent documents. That said, your previous selections do matter for this process. You're not going to see it on here, but as I've done in previous years, I will give weight to, when we create the final rankings, I'll give weight to those things that have been prioritized before, even more weight to those things that have been funded before. So obviously things like streets improvements, parks improvements that we fund year over year, those start pretty highly, and your points will be worth more if you're voting for existing services to continue. Now, you'll also see the raw data, so don't worry about me manipulating the numbers to have them say what I want them to say. That's how I'm going to apply them to the budget that I am writing. But you'll still get to see what everybody believes so that when we discuss this in October, if I get it wrong, you'll have the data to help point out how I've gotten it wrong, or hopefully how we've used it to effectively create the budget. Some final notes, as the president mentioned. You know, some of these ideas we do blend together. So the parks improvements that you just heard from Councilors Ledeen and Ludwig, by no means do I want, those are not removed from priorities-based budgeting. Those would be additions to our existing parks funding. So if you believe in either of their ideas, vote for parks improvements. If the parks improvements budget line item stays the same, we will not be able to afford those projects. If we increase it, or at least we won't be able to in the next 5 years, if we increase it, we'll have room for more parks projects. Not necessarily these, but the Parks Commission will then create a 5-year capital plan using the money that you give them. You want to do more projects, you got to give them more money. That is true for all of these. I think that is all of my notes. I'll let Councillor Moffat argue against me after hours, but I am likely to combine those playbooks. That's a note that I wrote down. That's it. So you can see in front of you, this is what it's going to look like. Councillor Bob here is participating in priorities-based budgeting. The first thing, this is my favorite little part. Before we ever get into what individual policies you want to do, you rank some big picture spending items. And I want to make sure you understand this. The rest of this is easy. So the 3 categories are can you move reduce levy to the top? So reducing the levy, if that is important to you, I understand a lot of people, everybody wants to see the levy go down, but these first 3 things, what's your highest priority? What's your second highest priority? The second, divert terminal tax to the general fund to increase operations. The third is the reverse of that, divert the terminal tax to the CIP to increase capital spending. This is a different way of playing out a debate that we have had for years about, should the terminal tax sit in the CIP? Should we send it to the general fund to shore that up and to continue to do things like increase staff wages, hire more staff, do more day-to-day services? I have fallen on both sides of this fence over the years. Many councillors have asked us to shore up the general fund so that it doesn't rely on terminal tax at all in the future in case it disappeared. I've often resisted that. We can have a much more functional city if we use the revenue that we have, and I believe it's relatively stable revenue. But right here, tell me what you care about. This is another way of saying, though, do you want more capital spending or do you want more general fund spending? Obviously, we need terminal tax for either one. So just treat that as reduce the levy, invest more in operations, invest more in capital. And then you use the little arrows to move them up and down. That's the cool part. You can move them around. Okay, scroll down a bit. Next is just ranking your priorities. General fund items. This is, again, make sure that everything you heard about tonight is in here, that it's described in a way that you understand it. Throwback feedback in the next 24 hours. You get 10 votes. You get to pick items 1 through 10. The first thing you pick will be your highest priority. Councilor Bob values citizen pool passes to the YMCA above all other things, followed closely by city employee gym memberships. There are something like 25 items on this list. You can only vote for 10. Sorry about it. That's how budgets work. Now, of course, we know that it doesn't mean you don't support the other things. This is your way of pushing those things to the top, and it will matter. So feel free to do a little bit of gamesmanship. Feel free to be political about it. Strong arm each other into voting for your favorite things. But you only get 10 votes, and your highest priority will matter more than your lowest priority. Finally, same thing with capital spending. It is no different. There are fewer items in here, but you just pick your favorites, 1 through 10. Scroll down. Do we have a notes section or anything like that? No, let's not add a notes section. I'm sorry. The last thing is ranking grant funding. Every single year, we've managed to have some grant funds. It's the last thing we do. I debated. Feel free to push me on it. I debated with myself about whether or not to make this, on the top of the sheet where you can rank it as how much do you value having grant funding. I decided not to do that because year over year I've told you this is the last resort or the last thing we do. These are outside organizations, or it's the extra money that we hope we can fund some grants, but only if we can fund the other high priorities. On the other hand, I've always been committed to doing some grant funding. Outside organizations do rely on some grant funding. So there will be some money, but this is directly tied to the overall availability of excess revenue. We're going to keep that budget as trim as possible. We are going to save some money. The better we're looking this year, the more money will be in grant funding. All you're doing here is picking which grant funds you care about the most, 1, 2, or 3. That's the whole thing. Can I answer questions right now? Of course, I'll be available most of the day tomorrow.
Councilor Johnson.
Thank you. I think this is similar to the past, and maybe you covered this while I was trying to find something. Did we have just 10 votes for each last year and the year before? Because I thought I remember ranking like 1 through 28 or 22 or something like that. Right?
It's been different. Last year, the reason you remember the number being so high, I believe, is because we combined capital and general fund. I might be wrong about that. The number has changed over the years, but it's always been a fewer number of votes than there were proposals. So you were always leaving something on the table.
Okay, so can you maybe, and I'm going to apologize to my fellow councilors for asking this question ahead of time, but can you maybe explain to me the priority-based budgeting system again, and how then in the past, if let's say I prioritized something at number 12 or 13 last year that got some points, and now I'm down to 10, do those projects not maybe count as much anymore, kind of how that transition will go now that we have fewer number of votes?
Right. So there were generally 3 categories of how things got weighted. They were generally totally new proposals. So something that we have never heard of before. It was proposed tonight for the first time ever. I think the YMCA membership is a good example of that. That gets no extra points in the weighting system. Then there were things that have been proposed before but have not been funded. So the scores they got in the past, I've never used that to weight in the future, to give weight to them in the future. It's just, has somebody been proposing this year over year? We just never got around to funding it. That gets something like a 25% boost out of recognition that the council's been talking about it. By far, what gets the most weight are things that we definitely have funded and have been funding on a recurring basis. So the streets improvements, parks improvements, police equipment and vehicles, those are the kind of things that we weight those the highest. So how you've ranked them before, that's all a race. That doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of whether it's been proposed before. That's the weighting system that I've used. But of course, that's my weighting system designed to help me in the budget. I'll just be providing you the data to see what people cared about, so you can make of it what you will.
Okay, so the priorities that we have in this top 10 then, what's to say that then that won't change next year? That is it going to continue to be the same, or are we? I guess I'm confused on why we're down to just 10 votes.
It's just meant to create scarcity in the budget. And we've done that every year. And again, the numbers changed. Most of the time, I haven't had a fixed percentage to it, but I've sometimes given you more votes when, and the number's arbitrary. It's absolutely arbitrary. I've sometimes given you more votes when there have been many more proposals, especially when there were a lot of small proposals. So we just kind of eyeball what it's looking like. But it will change next year. There will be more proposals. Your individual priorities may be different year over year. The only thing that I'm giving recognition to are things that have been funded. And again, where somebody's shown commitment to be proposing something year over year, that I've tried to give some extra weight to. That for the most part, that's always been a factor in the CIP. Only last year did I start doing that in the general fund as well.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Ledeen.
Just a quick question, Mayor. The grants, you have 3 listed, but we have a few more grant programs in the city besides those 3. Any reason why the other grant programs are not being ranked?
Because I forgot those.
Okay.
Tell me what they are, we'll add them.
Parks and Rec, small business. Off the top of my head, I don't know if I'm forgetting anything else.
I probably won't. Small business is funded out of the Economic Development Fund, and that's practically an independent fund, so I probably won't make you waste votes on that. That's still, the Plan Commission is making decisions about existing funds. But Economic Development Fund, I believe, is in there. If it's not, it should be.
I'm sorry, Councilor Fennessy.
Thanks. I just want to make sure I understand the ranking in the process, right? Because when you were going over, I think it was the parks. You'd mentioned, listen, we're gonna fund the parks for the next 5 years. If you rank it higher, we're just gonna fund it more. So does that same idea apply to like roads? If I'm satisfied with the level of funding for the roads, I shouldn't have to waste a vote. Is that because they're still going to get funded? And kind of like the same thing, like the lead lines. Right now, there's a good indication that it's going to be funded. We're not going to need any city funds in 2026. So if I don't use a vote for the lead lines, the end result's still going to be the same. The 2026 project is going to get funded, but like the street improvements, is that kind of the same thing as the parks?
So that question was actually asked, but it was years ago. You do have to vote for it. If nobody votes for streets improvements, we're not doing any streets. I know that everybody cares about streets. I'm still going to fund streets, but the priorities will matter. So what I warned, I think, again, it was probably 5 years ago when we were really early getting into this. I warned the council, if you don't vote for it, it tells me it doesn't matter to you, because there was a risk of more gamesmanship than what you're describing of like, you know what, I'm not going to waste my vote because I want to get these other things in because I know he's got to fund the roads. And I'm going to. If nobody votes for streets improvements, I'm going to fund them and say I'm the only one that cares about them. But I will be motivated by the things that you did vote for. So I could significantly look at a decrease because I'm going to interpret that as almost exactly what you just said. Nobody's voting for it. You're telling me, I think they're all right. And they probably don't need that much investment. And I will start pulling back on it. Obviously, that's an extreme example. I don't think folks are going to do that. But I do, if it's one of the most important things to you, if you want to see maintenance, if you just want to see maintenance, just kind of, they're doing okay, but like, just make sure the roads are still getting paved, put it somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be your number one priority. But if it matters to you, definitely vote for it. Again, in answer to the questions Councilor Johnson was asking, the process is meant to build scarcity. The first part of this effort is, as Councilor Herrick said, to act as though money does not matter. But in the end, it does. And so there's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here. This is meant to make you feel the way I have to feel for the next month. We cannot fund it all. My recommendation to you, take the things that you know are just vital, like streets, like parks, throw some votes at it, save yourself a couple votes to do some fun things.
Okay, and then kind of the same thing like with the I keep going back to the lead lines. So if the lead lines were an option, that's where this is the 2026 budget. That would be more setting aside additional funds in the event that the grants fall through for like future years, which feels weird that we're developing the 2026 budget knowing that we're probably not going to need any funds in 2026, but we might need them in 2027 or 2028.
I see why you're concerned about that, but it's no different than any other major piece of infrastructure for which we could get significant grants. So we might get tons of grants for parks improvements. That doesn't mean you shouldn't vote for parks improvements. I think you said it well just 2 seconds ago that maybe we don't get those grants. It doesn't mean we don't want to replace lead lines unless you tell me that it doesn't matter. So if this is something that you've heard my opinions on it, but if this is a high priority, say so, because if that grant funding does fall through, but this is one of the highest priorities of the council, then I'm going to make sure that fund can continue to do that work rapidly. I mean, we're going to do it, but how fast we do it is a factor of how much money we put towards it. And you're right, it could be totally moot if we get a ton of grant funding for it. And then we've got a huge surplus in our CIP that we will dedicate to something else next year, and you'll be able to vote for that too.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Moped.
Can you add in the notes section, please?
I was happy.
So here's my thing. If you have one item that's $4,000 and another one that's $4 million, it's really hard to not just say, I like both of these. Yeah, just get the $4,000 thing and then cut the other one by $4,000, because we could do $3,996,000 and we'd probably be sitting okay on that budget item. You know what I mean? And so it's really hard to compare items that are so vastly different in scale. And also, we have like at least 10 departments, right? And so if you vote for any new thing, you're telling some department that like you don't want to fund them. And so like it's difficult when I do this process because there isn't a way to differentiate between maintaining funding, increasing funding, or decreasing funding. And so like I know that you're saying like if you don't vote for roads, like maybe I'll decrease it next year because it's not as big of a priority, but I don't want to decrease roads. Maybe I just also don't want to like increase it by a lot. And then without having a comment thing on there, like maybe somebody's proposing, say, $5 million for broadband, and I know we have a lot of priorities, and I say, well, geez, I really want to fund broadband, but maybe I want to fund it at $2.5 million. And so, like, how do you rank something like that without saying, like, fit all this other stuff in? You know?
So we can probably put a note section in for some of the reasons you described. First, again, try not to overthink this too much. This is a tool to steer us in the direction. Nobody knows the revenue at the end of the day either, so we can't build the budget with this. That was the very first thing I said. It's not meant to do that. It's meant to give a broad expression of what you care about among these priorities. In terms of a note section, sometimes counselors have used it to skip the process altogether, and then it messes with the data. If y'all promise to at least just do the rankings so we can show some data, because it really is a useful tool. Again, the stakes are not that high. It's still my responsibility to make a budget. I have to do that. Once we do have all the numbers, it's still your responsibility to craft it in the end and then adopt it. So it's just meant to start the process with some guiding principles. That said, we'll add a note section. I think we actually did that last year, and then we said we would put it in the budget book. So if you can keep yourself to 200 words, we'll put the note section in, but we're putting it in the book. So watch your language.
I was just going to say, sorry to cut it. I was just going to say, I think it's important to put the note section in. I agree. And if nothing else, to reflect what you had said, is this is also our politically, this is where we stand. And so it would be nice to be able to give a brief explanation as to why I chose some of the things that I did within that budget, priority-based budget.
Councillor Herrick, you're on.
Thank you. I think that the note place would be good, too, because I think I would write in there, based on my decisions, any questions, just give me a call. And that way I could answer whatever questions rather than myself defining why I this. If anybody had questions, I'd put in there, just call me. Yeah.
Any more suggestions or thoughts, comments? All right, I am not hearing any. Therefore, I want to thank you for your time, your passion, and your entire selves night, whatever. Adjourned.